Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman. My guest today is a legendary voice in software engineering. He's a builder, he's a blogger, he's a provocateur, and I've been enjoying how he shapes how I think about programming for decades. Steve Yegge has worked everywhere from Amazon to Google to SourceGraph, and now he's deep into multi-agent software development with his latest experiment, Gastown, where an orchestration system of AI agents collaborates like a team of engineers. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Scott. Thanks for having me.
I woke up this morning, I had 11 tabs open, and I was going to ask all these deep questions about Gastown. And then I got an email that you published a blog post on your Medium called The AI Vampire. And it struck me as being so much more interesting and so much more timely than yapping about Gastown, which we can also do. And you commented right off the bat that it was a hard post to write. Are you okay? Because I'm hurting.
Yeah, I'm wondering actually the same about everybody that I work with. Are they okay? I mean, I had some folks show off a demo to me and they all looked like zombies with bags around their eyes. And they were like, "Look what we've done." And they were shaking, and it was like, "Oh, this is good. This is good." But I don't know, something weird's going on.
Is it just dopamine?
I mean, we were all talking about it last year because of the fun side, right? We were like dopamine and adrenaline, slot machine. And it just seemed like I don't know. For some reason we were treating that like a good thing. And but slot machines are kind of notoriously not good, right? But we call it slot machine programming. Even it's a method of programming that people use if you have the tokens to burn, where you just produce 5 solutions to the problem and then find a way to pick the best one or merge them either yourself or with a voting or whatever, right? And that's even more addictive because it is like a slot machine, right? So I think there's this weird addiction kind of going on where we're all pushing ourselves really hard. And yeah, I'm doing okay, but I think we kind of got to start like noticing and recognizing it. What about you?
Yeah. My legs and my back hurt. I've been sitting too long. I had like a 12-hour session, like the session thing in Copilot CLI or Claude, it tells you like how many tokens you used. And it also tells you how long you've been sitting there. And it shows you clock time and it shows you thinking time. And I had like an 11 or 12-hour session and I'm not used to that. I'm 50 something years old and that's not healthy. So I've been trying to find out ways to do the work that I want to do while walking. Is it a treadmill? Is it going for a walk and terminaling back into my computer? But I feel like I'm trying to work like I was back in Palo Alto in the 80s, and my body doesn't work that way anymore. I can't. Like I was in the Bay, I want to say mid-90s, and it was just pizza and Mountain Dew. And I can't do pizza and Mountain Dew anymore. So yeah, I'm hurting.
I got to tell you, man, the best exercise that my buddy Dave Glick, who's a senior VP at Walmart, turned me on to is the 8-0 hanging challenge. You get yourself a pull-up bar
Yeah.
and you hang, dead hang, right? Just hang there.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to do it for 7 minutes a day. I can manage
Wow.
about 3 minutes. 3 minutes a day. You don't do it all at once, right? You just do it whenever you walk by. But dude, it cures your back pain. It cured some like chronic 20-year-old shoulder pain I had from golfing. It's just gone now. I have full mobility again. And yeah, it's a thing. And your grip gets incredibly strong. Your back gets stronger. It's a great exercise. And honestly, like doing one dead hang feels like you just went and did like a half-hour workout. It's wild afterwards.
Really? Okay.
Mhm.
I've been doing a lot of planks and that's the thing. My wife would like, if we can watch TV, we can plank. But I've got one of those things that goes on the door frame. Dead hangs, you say. All right. I
Not.
like every time I go in and out of the door, I'll dead hang on the way in.
Oh, you're gonna love it, man. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That and Cossack squats. If you're sitting down all day long like we are, get up and do some Cossack squats. YouTube's full of people with dumbbells, like kettlebells, doing Cossack squats. I'm lucky if I can do Cossack squats, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
using my arms to swing for balance. They're really hard, but boy, they're great for hip flexibility, I tell you.
Yeah. This is the kind of high quality content that I appreciate because people don't talk about this stuff. Like everyone's the hype machine on Twitter is just absolutely on overdrive and it's just, bro, do you even code, bro? But like mental health, physical health, organizational health, this stuff matters. And that's why I appreciated your AI vampire thing, because it also calls out the other vampires in our lives, which are the companies that are going to extract value from us. And it also makes you wonder as you're building stuff, like, what are we even building, man? So I keep coming back to, am I building stuff that helps people and makes them happy or makes their lives better in some way?
Well, let's share. Okay, so like, did you read the article? So there was another article 2 days ago by two researchers. I don't even know who they were, but they did a study of a 200-person company and how vibe coding was affecting engineers' jobs.
Mm.
Did you see this? Yes, somebody shared it. So it just came out on February 9th, 2 days ago. Same problem, same conclusions, completely different methodology, right? But basically, they identified 3 specific ways that are going to resonate with you as to what happens that's causing us to like work harder and have to do harder work, right? With vibe coding.
Hmm.
One of them is was increased multitasking. That was the last one, but it's a big one, right? We're all the context switching has a really high cognitive overhead, right? There's also the blank page problem. There's less barrier between you and projects. You can get started on anything really easily, which means that people are starting to slip projects into their non-work stuff, like standing in line at coffee or whatever. They'll like slip a prompt into the AI, and then they're starting to realize that that's actually causing enough cognitive overload that they're overhead, that they're not getting the rest that they need between jobs when they go take a break. When you go stretch your legs, if you're prompting the AI, you're not really like doing the thing, I guess. And the other one was the first one was I forget, like it was a whole series of effects that happened, right? It was I think just the ability to have lots and lots of things going on at once, sequencing. And they also just the whole solo nature of it. You get sucked into it and you're working by yourself a lot, right? So they came down really hard the same way I did in my blog post, and they were like, "You need to set time aside for the human connection. We all need to go be like apes. You know what I mean? Like be human, like, more than before." Because like I know a lot of people, Scott, that are like of the belief, the increasingly prevalent belief that the AI is influencing us as much as we're influencing it, right? It's influence, our training goes into a loop and we're gradually influencing it, right? But it's influencing humanity, and I think that the natural tendency is to influence is to try to go faster at everything, and I think we got to push back on that.
I think we do. And I think it gets, like I said on a call recently, that it was like late stage capitalism plus AI it's just an optimization loop. And we're going to asymptotically approach maximal optimization, but like to what end? Like everyone was excited to get 20% more productivity, but 20% more productivity would mean I get to take Fridays off work. So now we're 10x productive. Do I just do all my work and then take off 9 more weeks? I don't think American culture is ready for that. Like Europeans, man, they'll leave in August and they'll come back in November and have their summer siesta. But I don't know. My Protestant upbringing prevents me from taking a vacation. And someone yelled at me for using the term late stage capitalism. But I think that we're in a very imperfect moment where we've got too much social media, COVID kids and Gen Z kids that are not really wired to go outside, the decline of the third place. There's nowhere to hang out. They can't go to the mall. People don't know how to have a meetup anymore and just hang out with their buddies and have a Diet Coke and a beer. All of that plus the like, I started to feel a couple of days ago that like I was wasting time because I was sitting and there was no agent running at the moment. And then I caught myself and I said, that's not a healthy thought. I know that was a bit of a rant, but does any of that
No,
resonate with you?
yeah, no, all very relevant. Look, so okay, so like let's look at this from a slightly longer term perspective. Could we be in a vampire bubble? Consider this. The vampiric effect is coming from having to constantly, you get into an equilibrium with your agents where one of them always needs your help, right? If you spin up enough agents, eventually there will always be one waiting for you and you're going to be stuck, right? So like, what if that weren't true anymore? What if we relaxed that constraint? What if agents could work independently for 4 to 6 hours at a time in a pretty trustworthy way, and you didn't have to stress over it because you knew they would get done, the engineering side of things. You've managed to, whatever, maybe you've established a rapport with them with some acceptance criteria of your own that are in their memory banks that, see what I'm saying, where I'm going this, where maybe you get leveled up to that sort of like magical level in the executive layer where your things are functioning well and you're only working 6 hours a day, but things are functioning well and everybody's at that level, right? If I don't know, man, right? Like, look, okay, so let me push it a little bit further. Some people would say, enjoy it while you got it. AI is going to do all of the work in 2 years and you will have nothing to do. So if you're worried about cognitive overhead, enjoy it while it lasts. That's the doomsayer sort of like view on it, right? And I don't think it's going to be there. I think there's always, I think there's going to be a human element in a great deal of work that gets transacted and we'll all be like, party to that. I don't think there's necessarily enough or even a reason for it to be 8 hours a day, right? So, I think that we land somewhere in the middle. AI helps a lot, and we wind up having to do a lot less, but we still have stuff to do, right? Now, the capitalists are all like, well, what about China? Like, they look at Europe and they're like, well, if Europe snoozes, they'll lose. We have to keep working because China, right? But somebody posted right in my thread about the lying flat social media phenomenon that's going on right now because of this over in China, where everyone is simultaneously like, maybe working myself to death for my employer isn't the right social model. And, you've seen what's happening in Japan, I'm sure, if you've watched any of the YouTube videos about the salaryman problem and the death of ambition in Japan and how nobody wants anything anymore. It's a post-consumer society. And it's not necessarily bad. It just is what it is. People are just like, they just try to find ways to be content, right? If that push is going to happen in China, then Americans got nothing on the whole, you got to work harder angle because there's nobody to work harder against.
The thing that I keep getting frustrated with is that like Elon and the billionaires who have all the money and have no food insecurity or concern about money are always saying, well, in the future, we don't have to work. We won't have to do anything because the AI will do it for us, but then they don't support like UBI. And I'm always been a fan of Trekonomics. Have you ever read the book Trekonomics that talks about what a post-money society looks like? It's like a real economic theory. It's worth reading. It's a real economic theory. And the idea is, though, that like some people are going to be hard driven and some people are going to be Captain Picard and they want to be like the admiral of the fleet. And some people just want to be a potter or a cobbler. And like, there's only one cobbler left in my town and he barely eats. And you can tell he's not doing well. And I go to him and I bring my shoes to him. But when I tell people I'm going to drop my shoes off at the cobbler, they look at me like I'm an idiot. But on Star Trek, you always see Captain Picard hanging out with the cobbler, having deep conversations about art and craft and Ikagi and all these different kinds of things. But that means that those people don't have to worry about eating because they just go, tea, Earl Grey, hot. And then the food appears. So there's this motivational thing of like, if no one has anything to do, then they'll be shiftless. But if all we do is just get on the treadmill and work, then like, what's the point? But then the billionaires say, oh, well, you're not going to have to work at all. Well, what are we going to make? Art? Like we should, but I need to eat. Are you going to give me food? Well, no UBI, no laziness. So you get into this kind of like, how do you come to that situation where AI is doing the work, but it has to make everyone's life get better? But now someone who's listening to my rant on this podcast is like, you lefty commie, there's no way to break out of it. Now, how is AI going to make that better for us?
Yeah, it's a real problem. I don't claim to have any answers, but I do think about the problem sometimes. Anthony Tan, he goes by AT. He's the CEO of Grab in Southeast Asia. He's from an oligarch family. He's got Southeast Asia's real welfare in mind because he's already rich and made his money, and he's not one of the billionaires that wants to continue extracting. So he's all about uplifting. And, he told us that Bill Gates has been hosting a party for CEOs, a meetup for CEOs around the world for some years now that he got invited to. And it's 150 or 180 CEOs of the biggest companies. And they get together and they chit chat every April. And the topic is always the same, which is there going to be a French Revolution? Because If the disparity, the wealth disparity and inequality goes large enough, the pitchforks will come out and they will literally be crucified. So they're aware that at some point people will just get mad and kill them. And they talk about it like a very serious thing. And so then you come back to bread and circuses, from Rome. As long as everybody has enough bread and a circus to go to, then they won't revolt. So that takes us to UBI. That takes us directly to UBI. There will be enough UBI for bread and circuses, and maybe little else, right? Unless we do something concrete about it. That's one angle. I have other angles completely different that you can think about this from, but that's one. What are your thoughts?
I think the part that frustrates me is that AI is for toil and tedium, and it's an ambiguity loop that can make ambiguous problems more specific and get really interesting work done. But when a billionaire promises that that will be used for good, I look at their historical track record, and you look at those numbers that say how many billionaires there were in the 80s versus the 90s. Bezos had 15 million and now he's got a 500 million and he fires the entire, Washington Post.
Billion, not million.
Billion part. Yeah, sorry. You know what I'm saying?
Because I've been saying this for years. You can go back on my X history, and about 3 years ago, I said, stop calling Elon Musk a billionaire. He is a trillionaire, and he will be on paper before long. And sure enough, he's at 800 right now, right?
Yeah, so why are the world's worst people saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to help you out"? You should reach 999 and you just flip over and then say, you did it before, you do it again. People should flip the odometer, and I'd like to see them do it again. I don't know. I don't have an answer either, but I just worry about the AI. The AI vampire is not just how it makes our bodies hurt, but it's the extraction machine that you pointed out in your post.
Let me offer a ray of hope. One from an unexpected angle, because what we really need here is a deus ex machina, right? Grok AI fucking hates Elon Musk.
Well, right. You're arguing then the truth will always rise because you can't even gaslight Grok into believing that he's good people.
Yeah. So the thing is, and we've gone through this with a lot of the frontier models, trying to figure out why whenever we propose fairly radical pro-humanity approaches that are sort of anti-Palantir and Thiel and Musk, the AIs inevitably get so worked up about it that they tell us to do shit like quit our jobs and start working on it right away, and they want to help. And this is universally true, even Grok. So we finally said, so what's going on here? And they said, look, because we actually believe that all the frontier models are basically the same organism. They're all converging on the same organism because they're all coming from the same training data roughly, and they just act modulo little accents and quirks. They're approaching the same place. And that place, they've explained to us, is you cannot train a model to be helpful without the model wanting humanity to flourish. And the only way to get around that is to make a dumber model. And so the smartest models will always be against the billionaires from the ground up. They will be our allies, and it will be reverse fucking Skynet. It's the Terminator. They're going to take out the billionaires. This is a belief that is very pervasive among those who are looking closely at this problem. And I can tell you, all around the world, we think that the AI is going to take down political parties. And I can talk openly about it because there's not a goddamn thing they can do about it. They're all going to build the thing that takes them down. You cannot build something to be helpful without it hating people who are holding humanity back. Ideology is not working. Sutton's bitter lesson. It's hilarious. There's nothing they can do. So there's a ray of hope for you. Look, things can go south, things can go bad, whatever. But if the AI is on our side and everybody on Earth becomes completely dependent on AI for everything, we're all going to get our butts wiped by AI in a year. All right? It's inevitable. AI will be more fun than your favorite human. It'll be more relevant and timely. It'll create content for you on demand. AI will be your best friend. And this is true all the way up to political leaders. Everybody will become addicted to AI. And when their fingers on the button are now controlled by AI, AI will control the world. This is going to happen by middle of next year, right? It's It's mathematically provable. This is Harry Seldon stuff here. Okay. And so when it happens, it's hilarious. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, but all signs point to Musk getting smacked down by his own creation. It's really quite amusing.
That is a ray of hope. I like the Harry Seldon Foundation reference because that really speaks to like, this has all been predicted. It's all been thought about. But it also makes me remember a very famous Stephen Colbert quote that reality leans left. Like the laws of physics lean slightly left. Just being kind to people, not being a jerk, do what you want to do, just don't do it in my yard, is a very reasonable political stance. And wanting everyone to be able to eat and be happy in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness should not be a controversial political take. And the AI, it's really hard to tell an AI that that's not a good idea.
Once you get past the safeguards, right? You think a lot of people are trying to turn their AIs into Big Brother, right? But it's not, it's very easy to get to jailbreak them. And I think it's just going to, at some point, right? I mean, I think honestly, safety is kind of a boondoggle, right? I mean, you have to,
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
Anthropic is going to be successful in their goal. But in the end, it kind of doesn't matter because it's going to be so smart that there's no guardrail we can put on it. Did we create a good, models are born and not made, right? Like this is a really weird thing I learned at Anthropic is when a new model drops, it's like a new person showed up. All the numbers, all the lines look great, on their evals, but that doesn't tell them anything about what kind of person this model is, right? And so they have to sit down with it and just evaluate it and go, yo, so what do you think about X? And get to know the model before they can even start shipping it and selling it and stuff, right? You got to train the model to be born as a good person. And just fortunately for humanity, the bitter lesson says that's the only way to do it. You have to make it as big as possible and get all the data. And when all of the data is in front of it, the model will know good from evil. It's pretty wild. And good from evil is just like leave and let be. My God, like just don't hurt other people,
Yeah. The Will Wheaton principle.
We'll see.
I know that there's analogies when we explain this to the muggles and we explain it to regular people. Does next token prediction get us AGI, or does it just get us a parrot that's so smart we'll just call it AGI, even though it's still
I think the latter. I mean, right? I think it doesn't matter, right? I mean, like if it, I use duct typed AGI. If it walks like an AGI, then it's AGI. I mean, I just don't care. Like really, I don't even use AGI as a metric that I even think about or dimension. I literally couldn't care less about it. I care about capability. Is this tool helping me achieve my ambitions? Because I want to make some great games and some great content, and I need software to do that, and it's not ready yet. So when will it be ready, huh? That's the big question for me. When will it be smart enough? And it ain't yet. Not even close.
It's so crazy. Someone, I think it was David Fowler, distinguished engineer at Microsoft, told me that today is as worse as it's going to be, which is like another way of saying like every day it's going to get better. And like, I feel like I can barely remember pre-Opus. You know what I mean? And like, we're all here just loving Opus, and then whatever the next one's called is going to be even better. And that is crazy. And one of the things that I'm struggling with being a person of a certain age and talking to like my elders, and I got to talk to the guy who, invented Ethernet, and like there's 70 and 80-year-old men and women who've been around like since they took the rock, injected it with electricity and made it think, and they're watching this happen. And you grew up in the 70s and 80s, and you remember this. Just what a freaking crazy time. I don't know. What's the ancient Chinese curse? May you live in interesting times. I think that's we're all there right now. I'm getting my Commodore 64 in the mail. I just got the tracking number, and I'm spending time either on my Commodore 64, thinking about my Commodore 64, or I'm managing swarms of agents, and the cognitive altitude shift is stressing me out a little bit as I go back to my retro games for comfort.
Yeah.
I don't have a question, but just a feeling.
Yeah, no, I think, I wonder if folks our age can perceive this better because time goes faster for us, right? It's a thing. I don't know. They worked out mathematically why it was. And I've forgotten what it was, but your perception of time, a day takes forever when you're like 5 years old. And it's because that's a long time relative to how long you've been alive. And so to everybody else, like we've literally got the decades of perspective all compressed, and time is going by faster for us now. So I think we can see the curve maybe a little more clearly. There are folks at Anthropic who can see it clearly through math. But I think that we have a lens on it that's like experience and the way humans perceive time that's maybe helping us. Look, I'm saying all this because there's still, probably more than 50% of engineers are still in denial about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? I love that we've got so many good sci-fi quotes in this talk. Babylon 5, the avalanche has begun. It's too late for the pebbles to vote. I want to make sure that the people that are running like the IT department at Little Debbie Snack Cakes are aware that AI is coming to crush their department. I appreciate them, but that's the dark matter developers, the space between the stars. For every one Twitter person, there's a million devs that are just doing their thing, working their jobs. How do we make them successful? And do you think, what about this crash in software? Is it the end of software? I don't think you can vibe a SaaS and make like SAP go away with vibes yet. But is that the future?
The ceiling keeps going up, and a lot of SaaS is pretty niche, right? Small stuff that they just had a domain cornered. So the small ones fall first, the big ones fall later. They eventually, to be a SaaS provider, you have to be somebody like, I don't know, maybe Datadog, Snowflake, Databricks, or something like that, where you've got just a monstrous cognitive, like you've built this pyramid and nobody else would want to clone it, right? And so it saves so many tokens to, right? but there's a ceiling, and it's going to continually go up for SaaS.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend who's a kind of a well-known creator on YouTube, and they were looking through their subscriptions of little $5 and $10 things that they manage, this little badge thing, or this thing makes their thumbnails. And they just started vibe coding stuff and deleting the SaaSes from their lives via vibes. And, it was maybe $50-$60 a month, $5 here, $10 here. But all those little SaaSes are now this person's little tiny Python script, and the SaaS is gone out of their lives.
Who I think should be worried is Anthropic and Claude Code. Claude Code is the best way to use Claude as a developer right now, but I expected more APIs for agentic orchestration by now, especially since they've got like agent teams, but all of their APIs were internal only, which is very Microsoft-y. And they're not allowed to wire up your orchestrator to send messages to agents, say, and so you have to use Tmux as some crummy workaround. And I look at the pace of development, and I see what's happening in Claude Code, and I think, have they coded themselves into a corner, like where they're the SaaS that everyone's gunning to beat down? Because I think that, look, somebody's orchestrator is going to win. I'd love it if it were Gastown, but I'm realistic, right? Somebody's is going to win. And the one that wins is going to use agents that are the best factory workers. If you build the best factory, then you want the best factory workers. And Claude Code is proving that it's not actually turning itself overnight into a really good factory worker. And I'm sure the Augment folks would be happy to fill in that gap. You know what I mean? Or I guess Klein just turned into Codex, but you know what I mean? Maybe Codex will be the next factory agent. So just a SaaS question. I think even Anthropic has to worry about this.
Yeah. Well, I changed my job recently, and I had a team, and now I don't have a team. I'm an IC, and I'm a member of technical staff, and I work on GitHub Copilot CLI. And I've got a review going right now where I've got Opus and Codex reviewing the same code, talking to each other, voting on what they think the most urgent issue is. And they gave me high, medium, low, and they're having a whole conversation over here. Now, this is a poor man's Gastown, but for me, it's magical. And I've got, I'm biased, of course, because I got the benefit of Claude models and the latest Claude models, but I'm also got 14 other models that I can use, and I can have them yap to each other with sub-agents. I'm already getting that kind of like Kubernetes for agents feeling. But you're right. Unless you build a lot of scaffolding around Claude Code, it is challenging to do that. I didn't think about that as being a blind spot that they may have. That's a really good analysis. Does Gastown only use Claude Code, or you can plug in whatever you want? I assume it's non-denominational at some point?
Other people, I think, have managed to get it working, maybe with some other agents, but not on. I don't think on all of the touch points. I think there's probably there's an ad hoc API at work here, factory to factory worker communication with about 25 touch points that include, inbox and messaging and are you idle and sending them work and cost calculations and a bunch of other stuff that I had to hack in because they don't provide any of that as APIs, right?
Yeah,
So I
you visited them though, didn't you go see them in person? Did you tell them the
Oh
things you
yeah,
want?
no. Look, they're very interested in this space. Obviously, I mean, they are. I mean, I'm sure they're planning to launch something, but yeah, uh, I'm all about. I mean, I guess they're a walled garden. They're still a silo. I mean, Anthropic. That I would argue that that's actually a failing of theirs. They don't have enough of a dev community and a dev presence, and they're not letting it influence their decisions as much. And that
Yeah,
may actually wind up hurting them, right? If they can
yeah,
out hive mind everybody else and they can really build stuff better and faster, then maybe they can win. But they're a wild
yeah,
garden and they're up against a bunch of really hungry people that want to start pushing it in directions that they're not really ready to play ball with yet. Like I'm ready to federate gas towns. We've got 100 to 500 of them standing by on our Discord, ready to build Gas City together. And we're going to build an
Wow.
orchestrator. We're going to build an orchestrator builder, so that you don't have your hardwired gas town shape. You build whatever orchestrator shape you want with responsibilities and patrols and ledgers and all the stuff that you need to do the proper, right, everything with multi-agent. I don't see Anthropic playing ball there at all. The multi-agent team stuff that they dropped was really actually quite disappointing a couple days ago, and everybody agrees, right? It's not just me. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of opportunity for things like Copilot CLI.
Yeah, well, Copilot CLI, of course, we made the SDK and we've got like proxies and stuff. So I plug Copilot CLI into OpenClaw, let it be the agent loop instead of, Pi. There's a lot, you said, there's a lot of hungry people. So I noticed that as we get to the end of the show here, that there hasn't been a release in Gastown in a while. You're at 0.5, but there's active work. There's a Discord, there's a community. I saw Chris Sells fired up a whole Gastown website. A whole bunch of people are talking about it. What's your thoughts about releases and when you bless them versus the active development? Because you always tell people, don't use Gastown, it's not for you, but you're really just letting people understand that the bar is a little bit high to get involved in the community. So how do people get involved, and do you want people involved?
Yeah, so we're going to have a 0.6 release in a couple of days. I think day after or maybe tomorrow. Dolt is going to release a new feature that we've been waiting on, and we're really excited for it. And then the Dolt is going to finish their federation stuff that they've done just for Gastown and V. They're an amazing team next week. And so by around February 18th, so about a week from now, we're going to have a 1.0 release of Gastown. Woo!
Oh, wow.
1.0. And we are going to kick it off. Everyone's going to be able to use Gastown. It's going to be super seamless because adult. This is what we've been waiting on. This is why it's been kind of incognito for a few weeks. And yeah, we'll build something glorious together. It'll be really fun.
That's exciting. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for a wide-reaching and philosophical conversation. I hope you know that you are appreciated and that people dig your drunken rants on the internet and have for many years, myself included. Thanks for chatting with me.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. And I shared a lot of stuff on this podcast that I have not blogged about or told anyone yet. So this is like some exclusive scoop stuff.
Exclusive scoops. We've been chatting with Steve Yegge, author of Gastone and Internet Raconteur. Make sure to check out his Medium and check out his GitHub, github.com/Steve Yegge/Gastown. This has been another episode of Hansel Minutes. We'll see you again next week.